collaboration between Nigeria and Brazil on aviation as he receives new Brazilian ambassador.
It's coming to no rest on his oars till we get what is due to the Nigerian people.
House of Representatives threatens to shut down mining site in Edo for failure to produce approved operational license.
Rescind the decision of continuing on this warning strike, because I know that as we speak, people who are not kidnapped are dying.
Labour Minister pleads with resident doctors to call off strike, says government is concerned over kidnapping and other security challenges. Hello and welcome to the news at 11 on Nta News24 live in Abuja. I am Dennis Adegunloye. President Bola Tinubu has departed Abuja for Beijing, China, an official visit. In a release by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Lali, President Tinubu will have a brief layover in the United Arab Emirates. In China, the President will meet with President Xi Jinping and hold meeting with Chinese business leaders on the sidelines of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. President Tinubu is accompanied by senior government officials on the trip. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has urged the newly appointed Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria, Carlos Jose Arias, to prioritize the establishment of direct flights between Nigeria and Brazil. The President made the request while receiving the letter of credence from the Brazilian ambassador. President Tinubu reiterated his discussions with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil on the matter in February on the margins of the Africa Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The President has expressed Nigeria's commitment to working closely with Brazil to strengthen bilateral relations and advancing shared priorities, welcoming the country's presidency of the G20 in 2024. In the discussions with President Lula, there was also agreement to energize the economic development of the two countries, looking forward to continuing collaboration. Ambassador Arias said President Lula is looking forward to welcoming President Tinubu to the G20 Leaders Summit, scheduled for November 18th and 19th in Rio de Janeiro. He also conveyed President Lula's invitation to Nigeria to join the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, and explained that the initiative, based on the value of food security, is the main proposal of the Brazilian presidency of the G20 to eliminate extreme poverty by 2030. President Tinubu also received a letter of credence from Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, Vice Admiral Seth Amwama, retired. President Tinubu commended Ghana's active participation in ECOWAS and reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthening relations with its West African ally. The High Commissioner expressed Ghana's steadfast support to Nigeria's leadership of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. The federal government has called for the strengthening of relations between Nigeria and the European Union, particularly in addressing malnutrition and other humanitarian challenges in the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima made the call when he received, on a courtesy visit, the European Union delegation led by the outgoing EU ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Samuela Isopi, at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Excellency.
The meeting started with the expression of Nigeria's appreciation for the European Union's support, noting there was a need for continued collaboration between the two partners. Noting Nigeria's strategic importance to the EU, Vice President Kashim Shettima said, Nigeria is the most populous nation on the continent of Africa and is projected to become the third most populous nation globally by 2050, after China and India. The Vice President appreciated the commitment and involvement of the European Union in some of the most important programs in Nigeria.
Thank you enough.
for your forthrightness, for your commitment. You have been around some of the most epochal moments in Nigeria's political evolution. You were part of the process that midwifed the current transition. You were actively involved in signing the peace accord between the political parties prior to 2023 elections. You have been a focal person, even in championing humanitarian cause in these two entities, and most importantly, you are a daughter of Africa.
The European Union ambassador to Nigeria reflected on her 3-year tenure in Nigeria, highlighting the progress and collaborations achieved, emphasizing the close relationship between the EU and Nigeria, particularly with the Office of the Vice President.
The European Union, as you know, is Nigeria's largest trading partner, is also Nigeria's top investor. I was telling the Vice President that we have over 200 private investments here in Nigeria, and European Union companies are investing in manufacturing, which means in developing Nigerian industry.
The ambassador also noted the EU's role in Nigeria's economic development, expressing confidence in the future of EU-Nigeria relations with continued engagement and renewed determination from the EU to work with Nigeria. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, Nta News.
Issues of national concern geared towards adequate policy coordination and implementation to drive good governance for national development dominated discussions at the first meeting between Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and his state counterparts in Abuja. Kenneth Nta reports.
Regarded as the engine room of administration, secretaries of national and sub-national governments are saddled with critical responsibilities, especially of policy coordination and implementation for effective governance. On this note, there is high expectation of performance from them.
As Nigeria navigates a complex array of socio-economic, environmental, and security challenges, it is imperative that we take clear, unified action across all levels of government.
From a secretary to the government of the Federation and the president of the Senate between 2000 and 2003, an empires in what seems more like an exposé traced the constitutional provisions on the powers, roles, rights, as well as privileges of the SGF and the SSGs.
The office of SGF-SSG should be institutionalized or protected by law. The office of SGF is to serve as the repository or custodian of government records. That is to say, keep rules, regulations, reports, policies, programs, etc. of government.
Ministers of Finance and Budget and National Planning illustrate efforts by federal government to diversify the economy through increased revenue generation, direct foreign investment, and expenditure control.
We have embarked on a move away from PMS to CNG so that Nigeria as a country can be energy competitive.
So rather than Nigeria looking to develop markets directly, we can just as easily subcontract with a country like Philippines that has shortage of skilled labor relative to the demand for its export services.
The emphasis, however, is to equip secretaries to the state governments with the required strategies to explore innovative solutions to enhance policy coordination and implementation in their various states. Kenneth Nta, Nta News.
The House of Representatives has threatened to shut down a mining site in Okwela, Edo State, if the foreign miners fail to produce an approved license to operate. National Assembly correspondent Nta reports on the oversight visit by the Committee on Solid Minerals to mining sites in the state.
Nigeria reportedly loses an estimated $9 billion annually to illegal mining activities across the length and breadth of the country. as part of efforts to salvage the losses for economic development. The House of Representatives has got the boots of members of its Committee on Solid Minerals on the ground to bring sanity to the mining sector. At this quarry in Okwela, Edo State, the lawmakers discovered that the operators who have been in business for years cannot produce an operational license.
We have equally given the zonal mines officer marching order to make sure that these foreign nationals that are running this entity or whoever they are appear before the People's Parliament on Monday by 10 a.m. with all. And when I say all, with all their documents, including evidence of technical things of the amount of explosives they have used, to evaluate the amount of aggregate they have gotten, have royalties up to date, are they paying their CAs? They are not ready to give us this information, but I want to show Nigerians that this committee will not rest on its oars till we get what is due to the Nigerian people.
The committee also visited the mining sites of Boa cement manufacturers with a directive to the company to furnish Parliament with details of its operational costs and community development agreement to ascertain compliance.
Don't forget that these companies are not permanent, they cannot be here forever. For the time they are here, every solid mineral they take away from this community is not coming back to it again. You should be able to show commensurate return to this community.
The lawmakers conclude their oversight visit at the palace of the Okwokwela way of Ukwela, where they appeal to community leaders not to trade off full implementation of community development agreement with mining companies for repeatance. From Ukwela, Edo State, Nta Nta News.
The federal government is concerned over issues of kidnapping and other security challenges confronting the country, and it is working hard to secure lives of citizens and ensure those abducted regain freedom. These are the words of assurance from the Minister of State of Labour and Employment, Nta News24, to the leadership of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, while appealing to the doctors to call off their ongoing 7-day warning strike. Joseph Hudson reports that the minister gave the assurance during an engagement with the leaders of the union in Abuja.
Monday, 26th of August 2024, resident doctors deserted public hospitals across the country. The action has left many without adequate care in the hospitals as the doctors protest adoption of some of their colleagues by kidnappers. But the doctors are not alone, as the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, shares President Bola Tinubu's concern in this engagement with leadership of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors.
And that he is committed to protection of life and property that he will meet Nigerians. And so, in that vein, I plead with you people that work is ongoing, that please rescind the decision of continuing on this warning strike, because I know that as we speak, people who are not kidnapped are dying.
Based on this, we will definitely go back to our house and have a discussion with our members to see if anything will come out of that discussion. For now, we've had a fruitful deliberation.
Representatives of the doctors describing the engagement as fruitful. Patients lying in the hospital can now look up with hope that full health care will resume soon for them to leave the hospital stronger. In Abuja, Joseph Hudson, NTA News.
We'll take a short break, more reports in a moment. Welcome back. First Lady Nta has called for a strategic shift in the registration of significant life events such as birth registrations for every Nigerian child, for them to have a name and nationality recognized under the law. She made the call at the official launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative project to accelerate birth registrations at scale in the country. State House correspondent Nta reports.
Infants and little babies are unusual guests at the banquet hall of the presidential villa. But here they are, joined by stakeholders who are critical to ramping up birth registration in Nigeria, including traditional rulers, wives of state governors, local government administrators, and development partners. The occasion, official launch of Renewed Hope Initiative commemorative birth registration, seeks to accelerate civil registration of children in the country by mobilizing political commitment and leadership for the cause. Despite achieving 68% completeness in birth registration of children under 5 years old in 2023, a situation where only 50.3% daily live birth of children are registered is unsatisfactory for Nigeria's First Lady, Nta.
This is more than an administrative task. It provides the foundation of our social security. Our children, the treasure of our nation, should be guaranteed their rights and privileges from the onset. A well-functioning civil registration and vital statistics safeguards these rights and ensures no violation goes unnoticed.
While presenting the commemorative birth certificate to children at the ceremony, the First Lady also highlights the significance of the exercise for national planning, realization of sustainable development goals, and fundamental human rights of the Nigerian child.
Birth registration is vital. It is the child's legal proof of identity as a Nigerian, without which children would not be fully recognized by the government. They could miss out on government's provision on health care, education, and other social amenities. Without a birth certificate, children will be unable to prove their age, and this puts them at a great disadvantage. I therefore encourage all parents to register the birth of their children, obtain authentic birth certificates recognized by the government.
By protecting the right of every child through legal recognition, we are safeguarding them from exploitation, trafficking, and abuse.
To our esteemed state governors and their first ladies, your role is vital to implementing this initiative at the state level.
Together, we can ensure that every child is accounted for and given the identity they definitely deserve.
As traditional rulers, we are closer to our people.
For traditional rulers and other strategic partners, the launch is another positive step forward in their advocacy to scale up civil registration in the country. Live birth registration of children by National Population Commission is one of the highlights of the launch. From the banquet hall of the presidential villa, Nta, Nta News.
Gender advocates and security experts in the country have called for the establishment of more safe spaces in communities to serve as mediation and sensitization platforms where victims of sexual and gender-based violence can express themselves without fear of stigmatization. This was their submission at an International Alerts Close-Out meeting in Abuja that brought together stakeholders in Kaduna and Zamfara states for the panel review of the Safe Space Initiative.
Lack of accountability allows the perpetrator to go back to the street and repeat again. So lack of accountability is a real problem. What does the law say about a perpetrator who rapes a child or who rapes an adult or who does a particular offense? What does the law also say about a woman, a man that abuses a woman or a woman that equally abuses a man? Because it's vice versa.
We are in a meeting this thing that you are doing, don't follow this way. If I can be calling meeting like that, it will have me a very quick way to avoid this gender-based violence.
When they preach to them and tell them that battering of a woman is not good, and they should look at the women as if they are mothers in the house also.
Women are used as tools of war, so there's a sense to which armed groups perpetrate this sort of violence on women, to show their dominance. And also sometimes women are used as spies, sometimes they are used as cooks in the camps. And there are all sorts of roles that to a very large extent grossly violate the rights of women. But when you come to domestic violence, that's a different ballgame. It happens everywhere. Spousal violence, rape, and all related crimes around GBV, they happen whether in peace or in conflict contexts.
It also advocates the need for justice to be served to deter perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence. The Ministry of Women Affairs is collaborating with strategic partners in setting an agenda for female gender and other social development issues through inclusive reporting. This was during a media appraisal on gender mainstreaming, issues surrounding people with disabilities and common health challenges affecting women. And to achieve this objective, the MacArthur Foundation is playing a critical role to build a delivery pad in the implementation of the mandate.
So we believe that bringing a justice perspective to our work brings to the table the voices of people who are usually forgotten in our society.
The conversation is not where it should be yet, and that's why the media itself needs to make these an agenda to ensuring that the government prioritizes gender issues. The launch of the Story from Green website for persons with disability to tell the stories from a place of accountability rather than charity.
The Minister who spoke on interventions urged for more accountability and annual auditing to measure performance and results.
Can they be useful? Can it make an impact? That is why we have to focus on the new narratives.
Be able to tailor interventions that suit the needs of whatever population you might be addressing their challenges.
The commitment is to form a common front in containing gender-related crimes and give voice through support and intervention. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tari Lagwaja has acknowledged the Akwa Ibom government for the donation of land for new housing projects in Nsit, Tai and one local government areas of Akwa Ibom State. Evelyn Badu reports that this was at the groundbreaking ceremony of the project.
The Affordable Home Ownership for All Soldiers project is a drive towards offering affordable housing for soldiers during their active and post-service years. The Nigerian Army Housing Project, replicated in 10 locations across Nigeria, including Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, is a collaborative effort of Akwa Ibom State Government and the Post-Service Housing Development Limited to boost the morale and participation of troops in the South region.
It is a testament to the unwavering commitment and desire of our indefatigable Chief of Army Staff to motivate and alleviate the hardship faced by soldiers in securing a personal accommodation while in active service and in their post-service life.
It is essential that our soldiers have the peace of mind that comes from knowing that their families are well cared for. The vision behind AWAS is to offer affordable quality housing options, enabling our soldiers to own a house in the place of their choice, under the most economically convenient discounted prices and payment plan options.
Highlight was the groundbreaking ceremony of the estate by a representative of Akwa Ibom State Governor. Evelyn Badu Ekpo, Nta News.
The newly appointed Director General of the Department of State Services, Adela Oluwatosin Ajayi, has assured that he will work with relevant stakeholders with utmost commitment and a deep sense of responsibility with a view to surmounting the challenges confronting Nigeria's economic, political and security environments. Statements by the Director of Public Relations and Strategic Communications, Dr. Peter Afunanya, notes that the Director General gave the assurance that his maiden engagement with the management and staff of the DSS at the corporate headquarters in Abuja. The helmsman pledges to refocus the service towards covertness and likelihood of studied silence over certain matters. Thereafter, we visited some sections and encouraged staff on duty to remain vigilant, resourceful, dedicated, and loyal to the service, constituted authorities, and Nigeria at large. That concludes the news at 11 on Nta News24. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adegundoye. Have a good night.
Nta News 24 has the sole mandate of bringing news to you anywhere and everywhere.